if you're on fitness TikTok, you've definitely seen the recent video of Gwyneth Paltrow doing a podcast interview where she talks about her wellness routine. It sparked a lot of response, so I thought it would be good to sit down and really discuss the nuance of how problematic a lot of her messaging is. Now, I'm not gonna watch the full podcast because I honestly think my brain will melt, so we're gonna keep it to the clips that were posted online on the Dear Media TikTok page. Before we go any farther, I also wanna put a big old trigger warning right here. If you are dealing with disordered eating in any way, shape, or form, this is probably not the best video for you to be watching right now, so I would click out right here and move on with your day. Anyway, let's look at clip number 1.
What's your wellness routine look like now?
I eat dinner early in the evening. I do a nice intermittent fast. I usually eat something about 12. And in the morning, I'll have some things that won't spike my blood sugar, right? So I have coffee, but I really like soup for lunch. I have bone broth for lunch a lot of the days. Try to do 1 hour of movement. So I'll either take a walk or I'll do Pilates or I'll do my Tracy Anderson. And then I get in the sauna. I dry brush and I get in the sauna. So I do my infrared sauna for 30 minutes. And then for dinner, I try to eat, according to paleo. So lots of vegetables. It's really important for me to support my detox.
So this is the main clip that is sparking the most response from people. And this is phrased as a wellness routine. This is an eating disorder. Starving is not wellness. Now, let me be crystal clear. I am not in any way, shape, or form qualified to diagnose anybody with an eating disorder. So everything that I'm saying in this video is strictly opinion. Everything that is being speculated is alleged. But I think it's pretty clear. And honestly, if you go through the comments, they pass the vibe check. Most people commenting on this video or seeing this video, it feels like we're pushing back and we're not really accepting this idea of starving yourself in the sake of wellness. So I want to put like a hard pause really quickly, because I feel like people are going to push back and be like, you're being so mean. She's obviously struggling, especially if you're saying that she has an eating disorder. And I am sympathetic to the fact that she is in the public eye, and she especially rose to fame during the heroin chic era of Hollywood. And I'm sure feels immense pressure to keep up that image. So I will 100% say that I feel for her to a point. And that point is where she starts profiting off of peddling this shit to other people. Preying on women's insecurities. And look, I get it. She's sick. I truly get it. She is sick. But unlike most people in the world, she has the resources to do something about it. Okay, so let's talk about the first chunk of this, which is her diet or her wellness routine. So I've watched this clip a ton of times, and I've kind of garnered something new each time. And the most interesting thing is that she is asked about her wellness routine. What does that look like? She starts at dinner, which is interesting. So she talks about first how she'll eat her dinner pretty early in the day because she intermittent fasts. So what does that tell me? That tells me right off the bat that you are hyper fixated on when your next meal is. When are you going to be able to feed yourself next? That is, again, I'm not diagnosing. I'm speaking from personal experience and working with lots of clients as a nutrition coach. But that tells me right there that there is a hyper fixation on what I'm going to eat next and when I'm going to eat it next, which tells me that there could be something disordered or at least a little obsessive going on. So that was the first thing. Then when we actually break the fast and get into breakfast, it's coffee, not a breakfast. And then when we finally eat something, it's at lunch, and that's going to be either soup or bone broth. Let me Soup and bone broth aren't the same thing, and bone broth is not a meal. And I'm saying it's not a meal because it's not many calories. I actually had a comment that was like, well, what's the difference between having a green juice for breakfast and having bone broth for lunch? And I was like, nothing. Neither of them are meals. I don't know when we got so afraid of just eating food. Why are we drinking our calories all the time? Anyway, and then when we finally get to this dinner that she has to eat very early in the day because she has to intermittent fast, it's something paleo. So the only real information she gives us there is that it's veggies. So we look at all of this. We've got coffee, we've got a soup, and then we've got vegetables and probably a lean protein if we're eating within paleo. Where's the food, Gwen? So aside from all of that, look, I almost didn't say this because I don't like commenting on other people's bodies or appearance, but this is the part that got me really sad watching her, because I'm just she looks terrible. She looks sick. And I really, I want to make it crystal clear that this is not a conversation of like women aging, because I think that we're also dealing with right now this very unattainable level of like how we're supposed to age as women because of things like plastic surgery and Botox and even just like face tuning all of your photos. That's not the conversation I'm having. I'm talking about like, this looks like a sick person who is malnourished, not this woman didn't age well. You know, that's the really clear difference I want to make. So Gwen goes on to say that all of these things that she's doing is to support her detox. What are you detoxing from? As long as you have functioning kidneys and a liver, you're good. Like, your body will naturally detox itself. You don't need to do a cleanse. You don't need to buy some fancy product. You don't need to fast. You don't need to do this and that. You don't need to do a detox. And if you do, it is under the direct supervision of a medical professional. We're gonna talk about this later, but I don't deem the man who's interviewing her a medical professional. We'll get to that. Now, I also thought it was interesting, and this is the last point I'll make about this first clip. Gwen is a smart woman. Our little goopy Gwen. She's a businesswoman. She's made millions. And this woman, if you watch it back, she is plugging products the entire video. The Goop Detox, the dry brush, the sauna, everything she's talking about is a plug back to her business. So this is another reason why I'm just like, I don't have that much sympathy for you, because you are manipulating people into thinking they need these things when they don't. Anyway, let's roll clip number 2.
As we're recording this right now, you have a little IV, so which is so on brand for both of us. We pod and IV at the same time. Good
I'm
at
really
multitasking.
embarrassing myself right here.
People want to ask about IVs.
I love an IV. I'm an early IV adopter. Glutathione, I love to have in an IV. Kind of a random, more fringy one. Phosphatidylcholine, that's my favorite IV when I can find them. They're quite hard to find.
Yeah.
And those make me feel so good. But this today, just because I was flying, I have just a bag of good old-fashioned vitamins.
Oh, I'm going to butcher all of the names of these things, even though she says it. What's the first one? Gwen talks about how she loves an IV. She loves an IV. It's like rich people things. First thing she loves is I did warn you. Glutathione. I sound like I have a lisp. So this is a substance that's made from amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein, broken down on the liver, and it assists with tissue repair and building, making chemicals and proteins needed in the body and your immune system. That sounds like an awesome substance to have in your body, right? Good thing you can get it from food. Spinach, avocados, asparagus, they're all gonna contain this. Now, back to my notes. The absorption of it is not great into our systems from food, but there are things that you can either ingest or do for your body that will help increase your absorption. Eating sulfur-rich foods, eating foods with a lot of selenium, vitamin C, getting enough sleep, exercising and moving regularly. It kind of sounds like as long as you eat well-rounded meals, as long as you move, as long as you sleep, you don't really need that IV. And I say it every single video where I talk about those things like they are the simplest things to implement into your life. I realize they're not simple, but I also realize that an IV is not a monetary option for most people. So instead of jumping to, oh, I need this IV, let's like brainstorm some ways to get you more sleep first. Okay, the next one. Phosphatidylcholine. Good thing this is abbreviated as PC. All right, so PC can improve your memory, reduce fat deposits, relieve ulcerative colitis symptoms, and support your metabolic health. And you're gonna most commonly see this in things like eggs, soybeans, mustard, sunflower seeds. There's a number of other options too. I think you can see where I'm going here, right? If you just eat food, you probably don't need an IV. But if you eat food, you might way more. God forbid. Sorry, God forbid. All right, let's roll the third clip because it's a doozy.
What's the weirdest wellness thing that you've done?
I have used ozone therapy rectally.
I did know this about you.
It's pretty weird.
It's pretty weird. Yeah.
But it's been very helpful.
Yeah.
Ozone therapy rectally. So this is where you get sunshine put up your butt. Kind of, right? Let's read some benefits. Rectal ozone decreases O2 supply and improves O2 saturation, decreases inflammation biomarkers. Why are my notes so like I feel like a robot wrote that. Decreases inflammation biomarkers. Okay. So this is thought to help treat arthritis, fight viral diseases like HIV and SARS, disinfect wounds, activate the immune system, treat heart disease, and treat cancer. Now that all might sound amazing. Unfortunately, so far, there are very little studies to support any of this. So this is all very like, we don't know, because people haven't been doing this long enough, and we don't have enough controlled studies to form an opinion. This actually brings me into the person who is interviewing Miss Goopy Gwen, Dr. Ercole. So Dr. Ercole's profile says that he can help heal your brain, your hormones, and your gut. That's awesome. I didn't really know that you could be a neurologist and a gastroenterologist and an endocrinologist. Like, this man must have amazing educational experience. The only way this man is a doctor is because he's a chiropractor. Okay, not to be dramatic, but he also does have a background in functional medicine and natural medicine, which is unfortunately a way of saying pseudoscience. We're not going to get into him too much in this video because she's already a bit long, but you know, he is Gwen's doctor, agrees with everything that she's doing, and he also sells and recommends drugs that are not FDA approved. So now, he did make an 8-minute follow-up video on TikTok talking about how you're not seeing the big picture and people are going to disagree no matter what I say. So anyway, buy my book. That's literally what the video is. I'll agree with him on one thing. It's not the full picture. People lie about what they eat all the time, or people give a snippet of what they eat or what the routine is all the time, right? But watching this clip, this is from an outsider perspective, just seeing this, incredibly problematic. And if you don't think it's problematic, Dr. Ercole, then there's the issue right there. You know it's going to be misconstrued. You know it's going to ruffle feathers. And most importantly, you know that insecure women who just want to look like Gwyneth Paltrow or just want to lose 5 pounds are going to hear what she's saying, go, well, it worked for her, so I'm going to try to live off of coffee and bone broth and vegetables and meat. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to be miserable, and you're probably going to give them an eating disorder. Allegedly. You are feeding into this idea that women need to starve themselves to be thin. In my opinion, you are a very smart businessman who simply wants to peddle his books, sell his bullshit, and I don't think you actually care about the everyday person. Woo! She got heated. Also, I heard my neighbors walking up the stairwell as I was screaming.
Probably gonna give them an eating disorder.
So that's embarrassing. So I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and I will see you all in the next one.